Hello everyone. If you've joined, let me know, drop a hi. Good evening. How are you? How is everyone doing? Hi. I'm seeing a lot of people for the first time here. Hello, good evening. Anyone having any cheat meals lately? Any dessert indulgences? I know, right? It's really very enticing. So I want to know what is everyone's favorite dessert. I'll start. Mine is gajar ka halwa. So around December, January is the time when I'm the happiest because we get the fresh carrots and we make gajar ka halwa at home. So let me know in the chat what is your favorite dessert. Rabdi, interesting. Milk cake, amazing. Okay, Rabdi. Anyone else? Any ice cream lovers? Any rasgullas? Gulab jamun? Yes. Cheesecake, amazing. Shrikhand, very nice. Amrakhand, is that the favorite flavor also? Because that's my favorite flavor. Mangoes, all-time favorite. Kaju katli and blackcurrant ice cream. Amazing. Good evening. How are you? So we are just having a quick catch up till I wait for everyone to join. आप लोगों से जानना है आप कैसे हैं सब लोग, आपकी फेवरेट डेजर्ट्स या फेवरेट मिठाई कौन कौन सी है. क्वेश्चंस भी बहुत आ रहे हैं ऑलरेडी जो मैं डेफिनेटली आंसर करूंगी. टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द सेशंस वी विल टेक अप द क्वेश्चन आंसर्स. कीप देम कमिंग. Good evening. How are you? Rasmalai, amazing. Very interesting. So we have a very good mix, right? Natural ice cream. That's amazing. Ice creams तो सबको पसंद होगी. I'm pretty sure of it. Like nobody can resist ice creams. Laddu, definitely. Any modak lovers here? बहुत जल्दी आने वाली है गणेश चतुर्थी भी. Kheer. Hi, hello, how are you? Bengali sweets, definitely, they are amazing. अच्छा, आप लोग घर पे बनाते हैं या do you order from outside? I'm gonna I'm gonna wait for 2 more minutes. So let me know. Do you guys make these sweets at home or are we also ordering from outside? Homemade, amazing. Homemade, perfect. Gajar ka halwa, homemade, perfect. This is my favorite as well. I see some more kulfi, lassi, rabdi toast. Amazing. Okay, last minute, and then I'm gonna start. So whatever questions you have, you can keep them coming. Mysore Pak, amazing. A very nice variety and mix of things I'm seeing here today. Hello. Good evening. Okay, let's get started. So welcome back to everyone for a very interesting and, as we've rightly discussed, enticing topic for today's masterclass, which is making diabetes friendly desserts and how we can enjoy our sweets, satisfy our sweet tooth, and still, not let it affect our diabetes condition. So let me just start by introducing myself for anyone who's new over here, who's seeing me for the first time. My name is Yuthika Savla. I am a diabetes educator and I bring to you these brilliant new topics. When we sit together, we spend an hour and we learn a lot of things about how to make the best of our lives when we are still dealing with diabetes as a condition. So with that in mind, let's get started. And I can see already that there are a lot of questions coming in, which I'm absolutely very excited about. But as I always do, I will be addressing them towards the end of the session. In the meantime, keep the questions coming and let's get started. So India, with its rich cultural heritage, its diversity, has a wide range of preparations and sweets that we deal with. These sweet preparations we make either for special occasions. Traditionally, it was just once in a year, twice in a year, but now we celebrate almost every occasion, be it someone's birthday, be it someone's anniversary, be it a graduation party, or write about anything along with our cultural festivals. Everything that is celebrated has to have some sort of sweet in it. It's just become one of those rituals that makes everybody very happy. So it's not really limited to one occasion anymore, and which is why it makes it very important that we understand how to make these sweets in a way that will not kind of put our health at a toss, right? And that's what we are going to discuss over here today, all of us together. That what are the most common sweet preparations, what are the most common ingredients, and how we can make the best out of it. So when we see the map of India, we are broadly, we are a big, huge country. We have a huge population and the cultural diversity. It just blows my mind. So of course, with all the cultural diversity, also come in the factor where the food differs from person to person, from state to state and city to city. So if we just largely categorize it, in the north of India, we see a lot of kheer. हम देखते हैं गुलाब जामुन है, कुल्फी है, हलवा है. जब हम ईस्ट इंडिया की बात करते हैं तो हमारे बंगाली स्वीट्स जो हम सबको बहुत पसंद है, रसगुल्ला है, मिष्टी दही है, संदेश है, रसमलाई है, ये सारी चीजें आती हैं. साउथ इंडियन स्वीट्स में हम देखते हैं पायसम है, पोंगल है, ये सब है. एंड वी आल्सो हैव द West Indian sweets, which are like besan laddus, they are shrikhand. We also see something like lassis and everything over here. So whole lot of variety all over the India. And these are some of the very basic and common names I'm naming. But I'm sure everyone over here also has like a traditional family recipe. We all have various things that we've been eating and celebrating over the years, over the centuries in our personal cultures, in our families, in our occasion, depending on what time of the year it is. And so we need to know how to make the best out of it, irrespective of which region one belongs to, irrespective of what sweets we are making, irrespective of what we are eating. सब में एक कॉमन डिनोमिनेटर होता है, which means कि बेसिक 3-4 इंग्रेडिएंट्स जो है वो खाना तो हर एक मतलब ऑलमोस्ट हर स्वीट में होता ही होता है. कोई भी हम मिठाई बनाएंगे उसमें कुछ ना कुछ शक्कर होगा, क्योंकि मिठाई है, उसमें शक्कर बिना तो हो ही नहीं सकता। शक्कर के अलग अलग फॉर्म्स होंगे, शायद गुड़ हो सकता है, शायद मिश्री या शायद कुछ और। फिर उसके साथ दूध आता है, फैट्स आते हैं जैसे घी या तेल है, एंड वी ऑल्सो हैव grains, that is our normal flours that we make, we used to make our sweet preparations. So let's see what these ingredients are, and let's keep in mind that these ingredients are a source of carbohydrate and calories. So while there is nothing wrong with actually eating and doing things that makes us happy, that are going to involve us in our cultural practices, but we must do them cautiously. We must keep an open eye. We must be vigilant so that overall we can do so without it causing a reverse effect, without it harming our health. And how do we do this? We understand these ingredients. I'm going to talk about two very important ingredients which are there in almost every sweet preparation. And I'm going to start with sugar. So shakkar jo hai, sugar, it is a fast absorbing carbohydrate. Simple meaning hai, matlab hum jaise hi khate hain, usko bilkul bhi time nahi lagta hai, एकदम से वो हमारे ब्लड स्ट्रीम में घुल जाता है. It is there in our bloodstream, and the next thing we know, it's rising our sugar levels like never before. So it is a concentrated source of sugars, of something that's going to raise your blood sugar levels. And if I'm going to give you some numbers, some facts, then 1 teaspoon actually has 5 grams of sugar, which gives you like 20 calories. And this is pure sugar. It does not have your fibers, or it does not have any other nutrient, which is why these 20 calories will directly be something that shows a spike in the blood sugar levels. Therefore, a lot of the times we substitute this sugar with something like, sugar-free, some of the sugar-free sweeteners like Equal or Splenda or something else. The big thing, the most important thing to keep in mind over here is portion control, because the best way to indulge yet not overdo is portion control. With this, I come to the second ingredient which is used very, very commonly, and it is milk. दूध ऑलमोस्ट हर स्वीट प्रिपरेशन में जाता है, चाहे वो लस्सी हो, वो जो दही के फॉर्म में जाएगा, चाहे उससे हम गुलाब जामुन या रसगुल्ला या कुछ और बनाने वाले हैं, चाहे उससे श्रीखंड बनेगा, चाहे उससे कुछ और बनेगा. हर चीज में almost everything, every preparation has some amount of milk in it or some milk product. So dairy is always, almost always there, and in different forms. However, all of these are prepared mostly from whole dairy products like whole milk or evaporated and condensed milk, half or full cream, all of these which can give you a negative effect in terms of, now of course sugar. Like sugar, milk is not going to rise or cause a rise in your blood sugar levels immediately, but in the long run, when we overdo it, it will definitely reflect in your cholesterol levels. Important thing to keep in mind over here, someone who is diabetic is very likely liable that they might end up developing, if you haven't already, you might end up developing high cholesterol levels. It might cause artery blockages. There might be some damage it does to your heart. So when we talk about dairy, we see largely that there is a lot of saturated fat involved, which is the bad kind of fat when done in or when eaten in quantities more than what is required. So for that, we have to again be very vigilant that while this is not directly going to affect your sugar levels at once, it will in the long run cause a very negative effect if overdone. Most of the desserts which are prepared have cream in it. Now, cream is completely, your cholesterols, it is your fats, it is saturated fats, and it is not good for you. So there are ways in which we can prepare, which we can use these ingredients which are not very harmful to you. And we are going to discuss those ways now. We are going to look at some of the ways in which we can modify these desserts, which is all that we are going to, all that we're trying to do here. Is not ki ye mat khao, wo mat khao. Let's see how we can modify something. We can make them more nutritious. We can make these things more healthy, so that in the long run, we enjoy and we make the most out of our occasions and our celebrations. Number one tip is to see some sort of change in the way we are using our sugars. Either we can replace them with some sort of artificial sweetener that is non-calorie sweetener, and we can use these sweeteners in the preparations. We can reduce the portion size, which means that we can reduce maybe by a little. Maybe instead of 1 spoon we use 3/4 spoon, just an example. In certain preparations, if we cannot completely replace the sugar with a sugar free or something like stevia or something else, then what we can do is at least reduce the amount of sugar. That is, let's say we only use half the sugar or 1/4 amount of pure sugar, and the remaining half or remaining 3/4 we replace with your sugar free, we replace with a stevia or something else, so that we save a lot when it comes to, we save on the quick absorbing carbohydrates. We still get to enjoy our sweets occasionally, and we make sure that this is not a very dangerous way, or it's not going to cause a very big rise in the blood sugar levels. So that's number one. Any questions so far? I would love to see in the chat boxes. Please keep yourselves active. Whatever questions you have, I will definitely address them towards the end of the session. Tip number 2, when we talk about mithai, when we talk about sweets, it goes without saying that there is going to be used some oil, there is going to be used some ghee, something or the other. Like you cannot make a rasgulla, or you cannot make a gulab jamun or shrikhand or something else without there being some form of oil in it. When we talk about something like jalebi or gulab jamun, it is used for deep frying. In other preparations like laddu, it's not used for deep frying, but at the same time, there is a lot of quantity of ghee that's going in or quantity of oil that's going in, which may or may not be very healthy for us at this point in time. So what we can do, first of all, we use some of the smarter versions, which is like a canola oil or rice bran oil for deep frying. Also, we prefer shallow frying over deep frying. We try to cook in non-stick pans so that we use less oil when we talk about shallow frying. And also, when we talk about oil, we can go for something like cooking sprays that are very effective, and they are recommended for shallow frying, and they don't really hinder the quality or the taste of the final product. So आप पूरा जो हमारा ऑयल हम यूज करते हैं उसको घी में तलने से अच्छा है कि हम जब डीप फ्राई करते हैं तो हम उसके लिए कोई और तेल यूज कर सकते हैं, और डीप फ्राई की जगह पे शैलो फ्राई को हम प्रेफर कर सकते हैं. सो वो था दूसरा टिप. अब आते हैं हम तीसरे टिप पे. जैसे हम देखते हैं इसमें गुलाब जामुन है, रसगुल्ला है, या कोई भी और कोई स्वीट्स है, यूजुअली दे आर वेरी मच गोइंग टू बी इमर्स्ड इन अ शुगर सिरप. हम चाशनी अलग से बनाते हैं. जब हमने अपने गुलाब जामुन को डीप फ्राई कर दिया तो हम उसको वो चाशनी में डालते हैं. वी पुट इट इन द शुगर सिरप. वी अलाउ द सिरप टू बी सोक्ड इन as much as possible to enhance the taste. So what we can do is, when we are going to a wedding or when we're going to make it at home, let's say, we can squeeze out the rasgulla chashni. We can squeeze out the chashni from the gulab jamun. We can squeeze out the sugar syrup so that the total quantity at least is going down, and we are not overdoing it in terms of eating the sugar. Because if we keep this in mind, let's say for gulab jamun, the piece of the sweet itself is made from maida. It is maida which is then bound into a dough, which is then deep fried, and then you are putting it in a sugar syrup. So you can imagine the amount of simple carbohydrate that is going in. Yet we all love the gulab jamun. We all know that when we've been offered one, it's really difficult to resist. So what is one simple thing that we can do? We can definitely squeeze out the sugar syrup to make sure that at least some portion of the sugar is drained out, and we are only eating a little bit of it, which is invariably there in the gulab jamun itself, right? So that's the third tip. Coming to the fourth one, A lot of the preparations are going to use dairy products, no doubt about it. So when we talk about milk, जब हम दूध की बात करते हैं तो हम उसकी मलाई निकाल के, जैसे हम घर पे डबल बॉईल करते हैं, या तो हम जब मार्केट से ले रहे हैं तो हम skim milk, we can go for skim milk, we can go for low fat milk. When we go for condensed milk, we can make sure that it is the unsweetened variety. क्योंकि if you notice, when you are going to be making something with a condensed milk, with a packet of condensed milk, you are going to add sugar externally in the preparation. So why not make sure that the milk itself, the packet, is it's ensured that it is an unsweetened variety, so that at least यहाँ पे आपका sugar नहीं जा रहा है, और आपको वो अपने जो आप normal चीनी डालने वाले हो, the normal amount of sugar you're putting is the only sugar that goes in. You're not overdoing it. So whenever the recipe calls for condensed milk, you can definitely keep this one thing in mind. Next, we come to a quiz. Before I move forward, I always love to take a quiz. So let's just see what you guys think. When we talk about desserts, do we need to be counting carbohydrate sources or not? True or false? Desserts need to be counted as a carbohydrate source. True or false? I see a lot of answers in the chat box, as always. As always, I would request that please do give me an answer in the poll as well, so that I have a sort of understanding what the majority of my audience today is thinking. Are desserts counted as a source of carbohydrate? True or false? Okay, I'm waiting for a few more seconds. Let me know in the poll as well. Okay, and 91% of our audience is saying it's true, and you guys are absolutely correct. There is power in number, because this answer is very much true. Desserts are counted as a source of carbohydrate, because the base ingredient in most of our desserts is some or the other form of carbohydrate, which is either your sugars or your grains. Both of these things have carbohydrates in it, and therefore when we talk about desserts, we definitely do count them as carbohydrates. Tip number 5. Now, I know a lot of you guys said that you always prepare sweets at home, but कभी कभार हो जाता होगा कि हम बाहर जाते हैं and we buy sweets from outside, and now it's always a compulsion for most of the brands to put their nutrition labels on it, so that the consumers can make a very informed choice. So use the power of this choice given to you and see what the label is saying. Is the total fat too much? Is the carbohydrate or the sodium too much? What is the cholesterol content? It is always a very, very good practice to read a nutrition label on any product you're buying. Whether it be a normal, let's say you're not buying the final product, as you can see in the picture, which is like a representation. Let's say you're only buying that condensed milk from outside. You can still read the nutrition label so that you will understand whether there are any added sugars in it or not. So you can confirm whether it is a sweetened variety or an unsweetened variety. Similarly, you can do so for the final product as well. You will see the ingredient list. You will see the nutrition label. Definitely read through it. Definitely see whether these ingredients are something you want to be consuming at this point in time or not. Is it going to be beneficial for your health or not? And only then, once you have a very informed choice, do you make a final decision whether you want to buy it or whether you want to leave it be. So that is the 5th tip. And now we move to the 6th tip. We have a lot of celebrations. We have a lot of occasions that come up throughout the year. it's not always possible to say that okay मैं ये नहीं खाने वाला मुझे मत देना. कभी हमने when we participate in a puja, when we do something else, it becomes really difficult to say completely no to the sweet preparations that are being passed around. So in this case, what do? We try to gauge the portion size. Laddu बहुत बड़ा तो नहीं है ना. If it is very big, we can request people to break it into half and we only take a smaller portion of it. In this way, we can definitely enjoy the laddu. We can pay our respects. We will make sure we are not disrespecting anyone. But at the same time, we are not also, in a way, insulting our health or insulting our body by overeating a lot. What we do is we maintain a balance. We can break it down. We can make a smaller portion size. We can take a smaller serving in a plate. And in this way, we can enjoy the sweet. At the same time, we can also make sure that we are not overdoing it. And this is what almost every health coach, every dietitian will tell you is the best way to consume anything in life, not just your sweets, but especially keeping in mind today's topic, we definitely focus on this, that whenever we want to have a sweet, we take care of the portion size, because that's the best way to make sure we are not going to cause any further damage to the body, any further damage to the blood sugar levels as such. So that is the 6th tip. Next, we come to a conclusion of how much carbohydrate to consume in a meal, or how to know whether it's the right time for us to have a dessert or not. Simple thing is that in a dessert content, carbohydrate quantity should be equal to or less than 15 grams. If it is more than 15 grams in one serving, it is probably too much and probably not a good idea to consume at the time. So in that case, you can take half a serving maybe. It's very important to keep in mind that when we are making a dessert, उसमें जो जाता है, जो आटा जाता है, जो sugar जाता है, जो दूध जाता है, invariably all of these have some amount of carbohydrates in them. Whether you take a different variety or not, हर चीज में थोड़ा थोड़ा कार्बोहाइड्रेट होता ही है. तो इसीलिए हम क्या करेंगे, we would keep a check that we can make sure if the portion size is very big, we can we can come to a conclusion that tentatively this would have more than 15 grams of carbohydrates, and so I should take a half serving instead of a full serving. Carbohydrate counting or making sure that we are at least vigilant about it is very important, especially for when we have to make adjustments in terms of diabetes, when we know that we are going to be taking insulin wherever applicable. Not all of us take, but wherever applicable, insulin also comes into the picture. So good way to make sure that we are not overdoing something when we are managing or when we are dealing with diabetes is very simply that before you're going to go and eat your meal or your dessert or anything, try to, keep a check on your sugar levels. Use your glucometer and see whether your sugars before the meal are in controlled range, are good management ranges, or they are higher. Are they touching the upper limit? Have they crossed the upper limit? In case they've already crossed the upper limit, it's a very good idea to skip the dessert in that meal. If it is touching your upper limit, maybe take half a serving. If it is very well within controlled ranges, then you can definitely go for one serving, which is somewhere around 15 grams. And we will also talk that how we will, how we can adjust and make space for this dessert in the specific meal. So let's come to that as well eventually. But for now, it is very important to keep in mind that we don't eat sweet with every meal on a daily basis. What we do is that we can keep a check that once in a while, let's say in the month of August, I'm going to be taking, I'm going to be attending a birthday and I know there are going to be some cakes in it and I love cakes. So I will keep in mind to check my blood sugar level before I go for that meal. If it is too high, if it is over your ranges, which is like, it is over a particular number, then I try to avoid that piece of cake. If it is touching the upper limits, maybe I take a smaller piece. If it is very well within a controlled range, then I can take a good one serving of the cake and I can have it guilt-free. That is very important to keep in mind. And now we understand this very important concept of carbohydrate loading. What does this mean? It simply means that every meal has different sources of carbohydrates, and thus it is, through research proven time and again that it is one of the primary factors in increasing or influencing your post-meal blood sugar levels. Your post-meal sugar levels that are very high are usually because of this concept that is called carbohydrate loading, meaning that we say okay, but मैंने इतना सा ही राइस लिया है, so it doesn't have too much sugar. एक ही चपाती ली है तो ज्यादा शुगर नहीं होगा, उसके साथ थोड़ा सा ही लस्सी लिया है, ज्यादा शुगर इसमें भी नहीं है. ठीक है, individually it doesn't have a lot of sugar, but when we are having it together as a meal, then it tends to elevate the total amount of carbohydrates tend to go up, and that is when it causes a problem. That is when we start thinking about carbohydrate loading that will cause an effect on the postprandial or post-meal blood sugar levels. That which is also why instead of having 3 very big meals, we usually prefer to go for 3 medium-sized meals, 3 medium-sized meals in terms of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 or 3 smaller snacks, which will make sure that we are not taking too much of anything at one time. We are distributing it throughout the day. We are giving our body time to digest, absorb, metabolize, use that energy so that we create space for the next round of energy that we would be consuming. This is a very simple way to keep in mind to control your blood sugar levels. And let's understand this with a detailed example. Let's say that you're taking one roti, you're taking some dal, you're taking some curd, you're taking some rice. By this itself, these 4 things, you've added 4 servings of carbohydrates in this meal itself. Now, when you add a dessert, which is a concentrated source of sugar, it becomes the 5th serving of carbohydrate. And this is what we want to avoid, right? This is the crux of the problem, that it's not that we are eating a dessert, it's that we are not able to manage the full meal when it comes to the carbohydrate quantity per serving. So what we do is we very intelligently make space for that dessert. Let's say that you're going to have roti, dal, yogurt, rice, everything, and you want to have, there is some special occasion. So either you cut down the quantities of the rest of the portion or you take out one meal. Let's say कि आपके घर में आज लस्सी बनी है, then in that case you can probably avoid yogurt or something else. You can avoid rice maybe, and you can take a little bit of lassi. Some or the other permutation and combination, which is very individualistic. What I said is a hypothetical example. Depending on your food habits, depending on your day-to-day activities and what your day is going to look like, what your blood sugar levels are looking like before the meal, you can take up some permutation and combination to make space for that dessert so that we avoid the carbohydrate loading or fat loading or any, overloading or any nutrition for that matter, which is going to cause a harm to the body. So we balance out, and on the whole, we eat a very wholesome meal. That is the main idea, main concept, and main crux of the matter over here. I am coming to the second and the last quiz today. So when you decide to indulge in a dessert, what will you ask yourself? What is the things that you should, a mental checklist of things that you should be asking yourself? Is it that, is this dessert high in nutrition value? Am I taking a small serving? What will be the carbohydrate count if I add this as a serving to the already existing meals, or all of the above? You guys can quickly let me know. You can select one of the 4 options and I will wait for a few seconds, take a water break and come back, so that when I come back, I expect to see that, what you guys question, or what are the things that would come to your mind when you are deciding to indulge in dessert, let's say tomorrow on a Sunday. I can again see answers in the chat box, and I'm very happy to see them. It's very lovely to see an interactive audience. But I also want to know, okay, so I have a mixed crowd, but at least 81% of us are of the opinion it should be all of the above. And the 81% of us are absolutely correct. It is all of the above, because we need to consider, is this dessert high in nutrition value? Let's say you decide to, add almond to the dessert, or you do something like that, you add some nuts, which improves the nutrition quality. You make sure that you're taking a smaller serving. You make sure that you keep the carbohydrate checklist in mind. And overall, when you do all of these things, which makes the correct answer for the poll, but also all of these things will add to you being very much proactive in taking care of your health on a very individual level. So this is amazing. The bottom line over here is to remember to monitor the carbohydrate content in a meal intelligently, so that we can eat everything, but we do not overdo something in a way that would be toxic or that would be harmful. So portions will still have to be controlled individually while making and in the total as well. And at the same time, do not very much restrict, because if we restrict, we also end up binge eating. Intelligently consume, so that it's not like we feel guilty and then we eat up 3 laddus at the same time. No, let's just make sure that we are eating one laddu which is made at home, which is using the proper milk, which is using the proper sugar intake, not overdoing it, maybe replacing it with stevia, something like that. And we are also consuming, you're making the laddu smaller in size because you're able to do this at home. And we can easily sit with our families and we can enjoy the celebration. Sab khao, lekin sabar se khao. Ask for a personalized diet plan. Reach out to your health coach. Let them know in advance, because I'm sure especially in a pandemic like situation, it's not that suddenly we're going to wake up and say, okay, aaj main party karunga. That's hardly, possible in a pandemic like situation. So we always know that, okay, in the coming week, I have a birthday and we haven't met in a year. So we are going to be celebrating as a family. Let me talk to my health coach about how I can manage my nutrition in this matter or in this celebration. How I can make sure that I'm taking the right choices. How I can pick from the menu. How I can make space for desserts. All of these things you're gonna be able to ask your health coaches, because we are always available in the chat. You can always text. You can always let us know that you want to discuss this, and your health coach would be available to help you through this situation and any other situation when you want to select your meals or anything else in terms of lifestyle management for managing diabetes. We have a very good patient experience. Time and again, our patients have appreciated what the health coaches are doing for them. And you can also upgrade as per your health goals, as per your requirements, so that you always get, research backed support from professional health coaches, professional educated health coaches, and also an institution that is helping you, that has been recognized by the American Diabetes Association, that is recognized and endorsed by the Asia Diabetes Association, that has given time and again results to its patients, to its clients, in terms of weight loss or weight management, in terms of HbA1c reductions, in terms of meal per meal basis management, and reduction in your blood sugar levels. So with this, it is important, as I always say, to play a very active role in knowing and managing your diabetes. And I open the floor for question and answers.
Thanks, Yutika. We have a super interactive audience today, and I am overwhelmed looking at all the questions. We would like to take your time, to discuss about a lot of things which our users are curious about. First of all, we would like to know about sweeteners. There are many doctors, there are many nutritionists which many of our users have visited, have suggested them sweeteners. So, what are the best sweeteners which are available in the market? Is it safe to consume sweeteners? And what is the difference between sweeteners and table sugar?
Okay, that's a very wonderful question, intelligent one. And when I speak about it as a consumer, I'm happy to know that, all of us are very active and vigilant in knowing that, okay, so many options are there, so many advertisements are there. What is the best thing for my health? So it is very good that you people want to know about this. And what I would say is that in the long run, or when you talk about picking a sweetener, when it is something that's there in the market, more or less it is approved by a particular administration or organization that makes sure it is safe for the consumer to consume, and only then will we find it in the supermarket or in our grocery stores. So yes, artificial sweeteners are safe to consume, but as you rightfully asked, there are a lot of different varieties, and each variety has its way of consuming. Let's say there is a certain one which would have a certain ingredient, and in that case, if you have certain conditions, you can't take that sweetener. This is best decided by your doctor, because the upper limit changes with respect to how much calories you are consuming, with respect to what is your current disease level or current health level, I should say, how much progress you've made in terms of managing diabetes. All of this is taken into consideration, and then an upper limit is set for each and every artificial sweetener, which is individualistic. And for that matter, you need to consult your doctor's first line of treatment when you go for an artificial sweetener. Also, in terms of safety, yes, when we don't, go over and above the upper limit, then it is safe. At the same time, if we want a natural alternative, which is also the safest, we always go for stevia. So that would be my answer. You can go for stevia. And in terms of artificial sweeteners, definitely consult your doctors first. Decide the particular component or ingredient. Just like your doctor writes a prescription for medicine and you take that particular composition. Similarly, for an artificial sweetener, there are a lot of different compositions, and the doctor is the best one to decide which one is safe for you, given that you are taking a certain medicine, that your health is at a certain status, and how it is going to react with your body.
I think that helps. The next common question which a lot of our audience is asking is that they usually switch options from sugar to maybe honey or jaggery or other sugar substitutes which are naturally available. It is is it really okay to have them? If yes, what could be the quantity? If no, why?
Okay. Again, a very common question, I would say, and a very common myth also. Like, I have seen a lot of people, discuss that, okay, diabetes hai, so I've stopped taking sugar, but I add honey to the green tea, or, I take jaggery. I'll tell you what this is. Essentially, when we talk about sugar, 5 grams of honey, 5 grams of jaggery, and 5 grams of your normal table sugar, which is the shakkar or chini, the white one, all have the same amount of carbohydrates in them, which is 5 grams, and all of them will give you the same amount of calories, which is 20 kilocalories. So when we look at this, it really does not have a very, very, कि इसमें कम sugar है या इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. That's not true. We need to make sure that even if we are taking a natural form of sugar in the form of jaggery, because yes, jaggery has some other nutrients like iron, which is not there in your normal sugar, still these other nutrients, the micronutrients, are in very small amounts, and there are other sources as well. So when I talk about diabetes management, it's always a wise choice that when we are cutting down on sugar, it doesn't mean that we replace the table sugar with jaggery. It means that on the whole, if we are consuming 50 grams a day, we gradually bring it down to 30 to 20 to 10 to 5 grams a day. And if possible, also avoid it on most days and only consume it once in a while. So that's the best way to go about it.
Okay, okay. So, lot of our users have been asking that they also have brown sugar instead of white sugar. Is it similar? Is it different? Is it safe to consume?
Okay. So again, white sugar is the refined variety of the brown sugar. It may be safe to consume, but at the same time, it's not going to make a very big caloric differentiation in your diet or in your nutrition profile. And it is going to equally affect your blood sugar levels, just like white sugar does. So on the whole, when I talk about any time when we talk about diabetes and sugar, on the whole, we need to cut down on the sugar quantity, be it white sugar, be it honey, jaggery, or be it brown sugar. So that's the take on it.
Okay. One common question, sweeteners are suggested by doctors or nutritionists to a lot of our users. They have tried it. Maybe they don't like the taste, they don't like the smell, and they just wanted to know what could be the best possible ways to consume those sweeteners.
Okay, so yes, I agree that the aftertaste can sometimes be bitter or sometimes be, unlikely. We do not like it, and in that case, the best way to deal with this is to develop a taste for having something without sugars in it or without too much sugars in it. If you definitely need sugars and if you cannot do without sugars and you don't like artificial sweeteners, we can go for stevia. And if you still do not go or like it, then if you want to, you can consume like, a very small portion of sugar, like half a teaspoon, and then limit, because on an average, we don't go around eating sweets daily, but the one place where sugar is definitely used in terms of, our day-to-day consumption is our tea and coffee. So in that case, I have seen a lot of people who over the period of time develop a taste for sugar-free tea, sugar-free coffee, which also has a brilliant taste of its own. It's just that we are not used to it. So we need to cut back on the sugar quantities as much as possible. Instead of putting 2 teaspoons of sugar, if we only put half a teaspoon over a period of time, build that taste, then that would be very beneficial when you do not like the taste of an artificial sweetener or or natural sweeteners like stevia. But if possible and if we are able to deal with it, or you can, then stevia or something like that is always a better option.
Correct. Okay. The next common thing which is, asked by a lot of users is about alcoholic beverages, okay, or hard substances, wherein it is usually advised to them that not to consume alcohol because it has indirect sugars. So, what do you think about that?
Correct. So, of course, alcohols, let's say the most common one that we talk about is also like a beer pill. Because these alcohols, we need to understand, is also made from grains, malted beverages, beers, all of these are made from some sort of grains or some other ingredients which have carbohydrates in them. So, when we talk about alcohol, they will also have carbohydrates in them, which is always going to affect you negatively. But at the same time, there is more than one reason for doing this. See, let's understand that it's not that your drink is just going to have some carbohydrates, which is harmful. At the same time, that alcohol is going to dehydrate you, which means that whatever you are eating with it, or whatever water is consumed, or whatever is always going to go down. In that sense, it's going to cause a dehydration, will cause a raise in the blood sugar levels. Overall, all of these hard substances over a period of time cause a lot of negative effects. Sometimes we don't just take a plain whiskey. Let's say we prefer to take a cocktail to make these cocktails look so attractive, to make these cocktails taste so good and so addictive. A lot of the times they are made using a lot of sugar syrups, which is also very harmful. So I would say that if you are someone who's drinking socially, try to not go for cocktails which have added sugar syrups in them, which use added cold beverages or fruit juices or something like that. have a very small portion, like one portion of alcohol, and limit it to that. And at the best thing would be to avoid it once in a while when we drink socially. That is a better way to drink.
Okay, I think helps. The next common question is related to packet foods. Okay, so many users are asking that packet foods also increases their sugars. Okay, it does not have direct sugar, but how does it impact their health? Because those foods do not taste sweet, there is no sweet taste which is observed, but still when they check their blood sugars after consuming those packet foods, it leads to increase in their blood sugar levels. uh, does it have sugar, or what is the effect of it, or why does the blood sugar rise?
Okay. So I am assuming that we are talking about our favorite namkeens over here. Let me give you an example. As a Gujarati, if I talk about it, we go with jalebi fafda as an example. Okay. When we take the jalebi fafda, let's say you're leaving out the jalebi fafda, obviously that gatia or something, it's not sweet to taste. It's namkeen or it has different taste. Same for other um, options in terms of packaged foods. What really happens is, like, we make jalebi from your maida. Similarly, these namkeens are also most of the times made from maida, or it has a big portion of maida in it. So I'll tell you how to read your nutrition label in this case. A lot of the times it is branded, and it is put to us as consumers as uh, this is made from oats, or this is having fiber, etc., etc. But if you go and you read the ingredient list, what we see over here is that overall the ingredients would start with the one that has the max amount of it in the food made. So if your first, second, or third ingredient is somewhere saying maida or refined flour, then you can rest assured that this definitely has a lot of maida in it. Majority of the content is the maida. So whether it tastes sweet or not, this is refined, simple carbohydrate, which is going to quickly raise your blood sugars regardless of how it tastes. So this is why when we talk about packaged foods, any packaged food, any preparation, this is why it causes a rise in your blood sugar levels. This is why it may be unhealthy for us to sort of consume these consume these food items, because these have a lot of other ingredients which are not tasting sweet because of the way it's prepared, but at the same time has a lot of refined ingredients in it, and it is unhealthy.
Okay. A common question which is, asked by few of our users today. Uh, do we have any non-alcoholic beverages which even our diabetic people can enjoy, just when they are at a party or they are trying going out on a weekend? Can they have any beverages?
Okay. So when we are going out, or when we are talking about parties, we're not gonna get a very healthy beverage as an option. Oftentimes, commonly, what we get is your is your drinks, or some fruit juices, or mocktails like that. And again, once again, to make them taste good, these are all containing sugars in varying proportions. So on an average, that's not really an option. But if we want something that is like a low calorie thing that you want to enjoy, maybe we can go for something like coconut water in a smaller quantity, not like 2, 3 nariyal pani at the same time. One glass, one small glass, or nimbu pani, something like that. But definitely not like a mocktail which has 2, 3 different fruit juices along with it, and it's added some flavors. Because when we talk about added flavors, mostly those are made out of sugars and various preparations. So that is not advisable. Again, fruit juice is not advisable. But beverages, the best beverage which I as a dietitian always say is water. But I understand that this is a party or somewhere we want to enjoy ourselves. So in that case, always look for something like this, like it can be nariyal pani, it can be nimbu pani, something like that, which in a smaller quantity would refresh you, but at the same time, it is not very high in sugars, so that it will not cause a very big spike in the blood sugar levels.
Okay. Another common thing asked is you suggested artificial sweetener as stevia. So, does it have any side effects? Is it safe to consume for a longer duration?
Sure. So stevia is actually a natural sweetener, and yes, it is safe. What I would suggest is to be on the safest side before we consume anything which is a packaged good off the shelf, which we are not very sure of, given the fact that we have a chronic condition. Definitely, speak to the doctor about it. Speak to it about on an individual level. But if I speak in terms of your general, consumption safety related matters, then yes, stevia is a natural sweetener and it is plant based, so it is safe to consume. Uh, at the same time, it's always safer to ask a doctor or a health coach for your individual health before consuming.
Okay. Many of our users wanted to know paneer or tofu, which is a healthier option, and why should they prefer one of it?
Okay, that's a brilliant question. So paneer and tofu both have its benefits. What I would suggest is when we are talking about paneer, when we go for something that is packaged, which is available in the market, always they need to make sure that it is preserved, it is available, or it is the shelf life is good. So when you want to consume paneer, try to make it at home, and that would be a healthier way to consume paneer. At the same time, both of it has its good and bad. So tofu, which is made from soy, also has its effect in terms of estrogen, and overdoing on that is also not very much advisable. So once or twice a week tofu, once or twice a week paneer is okay. This is also subject to your individual cholesterol levels. If your cholesterols are too high, or if you have hypertension, then paneer or tofu available in the market might have some amount of added sodium for preservation or something, and in that case, it might not be the best option. Made at home, your paneer might not have added sodium to it, so you can consume it. So, do read the nutrition label and definitely ask your health coach about the frequency in which you can consume. But both of these are very good sources of vegetarian protein, and they are healthy to consume on a weekly basis, couple of times a week.
Okay, helps. We are getting a lot of questions. People are super interactive with lot of communication, but we just have 5 more minutes. We will take up more 2 questions. So the next common thing which is asked is that sometimes they go on a party, some festival, and there are times when they indulge. They know that it's important to stop at one portion or one sweet, but is it okay to have a larger portion and then immediately exercise in the evening the same day and maybe work out for more time compared to their regular routine, once in a while when there is some occasion at home?
Okay. So what we do is when we are talking about, when we are talking about that guilty indulgence once in a while, which I am sure that everyone present over here today, my audience is a very educated audience. We know what we are doing, what is good and what is not good for our own health. So I'm very sure that this is not happening very regularly. So let's say in a situation once in a while where we are not able to stop at that one serving, what we need to do is next day or over the period of the next week or so, bring ourselves back to a homeostasis. Always keep in mind that overdoing one does not mean you will go and overdo the others, because that will always cause us, this compensatory behavior will always cause fluctuations in the blood sugar levels, meaning it's going very high in this moment and we go and over exercise, it might slip very low in that moment, and that fluctuation in itself would be much more dangerous than the one spike or the one drop. So what we do is we come back to a homeostasis, and a healthy homeostasis is as in balance and healthy lifestyle from the next meal onwards itself. So you start small by walking after. So when you're, let's say, going out to a party, try to walk on your way back so you are able to compensate without overdoing it, because walking after meals is any which way is very healthy. Continue this behavior. Suppose the party was a morning wedding, you can do the walks after your meals for your afternoon and dinner as well. In the afternoon and dinner, you can make sure that if the carbohydrate in the morning has been too much, then we come back to the complex carbohydrate, let's say like a lentil based option or something like that for the next 2 meals. But don't overdo any of those things, because when we overdo, there will be negative effects. Just like there is negative effect of overeating, there is a negative effect of over exercising as well. Keep it in homeostasis, bring it back to your normal routine. So from the next day, again come back to exercising for half an hour, walking for half an hour, walking after meals, keeping a check on the portion sizes, the normal day-to-day balanced routine, and that is the best way to come back to a state of healthy behavior.
Okay, last question. People are really excited and they want to know much more about a lot of information, but they crave almost every alternate day. So instead of having artificial recipes or sweets or market recipes, can they indulge on sweet fruits like a banana, or maybe a seasonal mango or sapota, fruits which are high in sugars? Can they have them when they crave for, desserts or sweets?
Okay, brilliant question. When we look at a fruit composition, in one particular quantity of fruit, the amount of carbohydrates are more or less same for all fruits. It's not that one fruit is going to have 200 times more the sugar than the other one. What I would say is, don't eat it with a meal. Definitely no fruits with meals. Another thing, having fruits as a snack, and again portion control, wherein instead of having a fruit platter filled with 10 different fruits and having it as a custard or something, no, don't do that. Have your fruit, let's say one medium banana with 10 almonds, and that is a very good snack. That is a very healthy snack. And then we make sure that we are not eating 4 or 5 bananas, and we can easily eat that one banana a day. Or along with that, sometimes we are eating your citrus fruit, so that would be on 2 different times of the day. Same with mango. Don't have it in the form of amras. Don't have it in the form of something like that, or along with a meal. Sometimes when we do that, it's not healthy. Instead of that, again with a mango, when we take a small mango and we eat it with some nuts, that is a very healthy way to consume your fruits. Definitely, instead of going for artificial preparations or going for sweets from the halwai shop, we can definitely go for fruits, because along with your carbohydrates, they also have a lot of other vitamins and minerals that are absent in your sweets. So yes, definitely you can go for these fruits. Have it intelligently. No fruit juices, no milkshakes which will have added sugars, or not having it with a meal, not having it as a custard. All of these are artificial or bad ways to have fruit. Just have your whole fruit along with some nuts and make it into a wholesome snack, which is spaced around 2 to 3 hours away from your main meal. And that is a good way to have your fruit and satisfy your sweet tooth as well.
Okay, we have actually got some last minute questions, and I actually want to help our lovely audience and answer them. So, there are sugar free ice creams which are available in the market. What do you think about them?
Okay, so sugar-free ice creams, again, a very good question. Let's understand one thing. Ice creams are made from your dairy products. Dairy products have carbohydrates in it. So when we say sugar-free ice creams, it would probably mean that जो ऊपर से sugar डालते हैं, चीनी डालते हैं, that might not be there. So in that way, definitely it's good. But at the same time, It might, I am not saying it definitely will, depends on which ice cream and what is the composition, what is the flavor, etc., etc. It might have too much fat in it. It might have, some bad sort of fat like palm oil or something made in preparations. So at the same time, sugar-free ice creams may be a good idea in terms of it has lesser sugars. Still, keep in mind the portion size. Let's not overdo it. One small serving once in a while, it's okay to have, and the sugar-free variety would be a good option to consume as opposed to something that has too much sugar in it.
Okay. How much sugar in a day should a diabetic patient have?
This is really, very individualistic. I would not say that you can have 20 grams, 30 grams. I would say keep an upper limit. Don't go over 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons at the very maximal. For anyone with diabetes or without diabetes, it's always a good idea to keep the sugar, the refined sugars, to a bare minimum or eliminate it from the diet as much as possible, because your refined sugars are a very big underlying cause of all metabolic health problems. And keeping that in mind, always try to keep it to a bare minimal. So I would say that 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, if at all, is the upper limit. If we can avoid it or if we can live without it, then that's the best option. And we must always choose that option.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yuthika. But I am actually grateful to such a lovely, lovely interactive audience today. They are still popping a lot of questions, but I'm so sorry. We are short of time and we have already completed the session. Thank you. Please do visit us next week. Next week, we are going to have a super interesting session. Your health coach will connect with you on that shortly. Thank you for the great interaction we had today. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for all of these wonderful questions. And I really appreciate the fact that everyone is really very proactive in taking care of their health. This is what is important when we are managing a chronic disease. So it is my sincere request and wish that all of you always stay this proactive. All the best. Have a very, very wonderful, healthy weekend ahead. Take care and bye. Good evening.